If you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, I'm back, and it is Tuesday, January 29th, and it's 8:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, there are no Q posts for today, so we're going to jump right into the Q-related news. We have a whole plethora of things to discuss, the whole kit and caboodle, because, you know, it's important if you have a kit that you also have a caboodle. Anyway, you guys that are not regular listeners can skip ahead for a few minutes, but I did want to talk to you guys that do look for my videos every day. And now, not yesterday, but the day before, I uploaded a video, and at the end of it, I said, I think I'm going to do another video because I feel like I have lots of energy. And indeed, I did have lots of energy, and indeed, I did do another video. And you're probably thinking, well, why didn't I see that video? Well, because 3/4 of the way when it was uploading to YouTube, I looked down and realized I had done the entire video with my microphone unplugged. And I'd like to be able to blame my kitten, but I can't blame him for this. So at that point, I didn't have so much energy, so I went to bed. Well, the next morning I got up and thinking, okay, I'm going to do the research and, get ready to do another video. Well, unfortunately, the kitten during the night sometime had chewed my charging cord, my power cord to my laptop. Again, yes, I had a backup, and this is the backup. Now he's chewed the backup. So I thought, no problem. I'll just get in the car and I'll go buy another one. I'll go to town, buy another one. It's pretty easy. And I thought, probably $20-$30, not a big deal. All right. Well, I went to store after store after store. Nobody had a power cord. I tried to beg, borrow, and steal. Well, not steal. I didn't try to steal, but I tried everything. And they're like, okay, you're going to have to order it. And I said, well, how can I order it? Because I don't even have a computer anymore because your laptop wears down very quickly when you don't have a power cord. So I was like, I'm a little stuck here. Please, can somebody help me out? And they tried to sell me this cord for it was almost $150. Yeah, I mean, things are ridiculous here. But, I wasn't convinced it was going to work. And I said, well, are you sure this is, we guarantee it'll work. Guarantee. Well, it didn't work. So I had to take that back. And then I was like, by myself last night, I'm like, okay, I don't have a TV because I got rid of that when I was finishing my master's degree because I figured it took time away from legitimate research, and I just never hooked it up again because why pay to be, for propaganda? So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to read or whatever. Well, then I just got the bright idea, well, why don't I see if I can just kind of, patch it together and whatever and see if it'll work. So I've got it working temporarily, and I do have a backup on the way. So that is where I was yesterday. Yes, bad kitty. And I'll tell you, with this latest incident, it has got me wondering if this is worth it, because this is getting very expensive and, frustrating isn't even the word for it. Anyway, okay, with all that said, let's get on to the Q-related news. And here we go. This is the first item. I just felt I wanted to explain to you guys that, because I said, I'm going to do another video tonight, and I want you to know that I just no sound to it. And I really don't think that you would find it that interesting with no sound. If you do, there's something wrong with you. Okay, here we go. Here's our first thing. And this would have been on the video, the second video, not yesterday, but the day before. So some of this is a little bit old, not quite as fresh as the other stuff, but still pertinent. Obama regime still making deals and meeting world leaders like they are still in charge. Interesting article here. Recently, former Secretary of State John Kerry called on President Trump to resign during a Tuesday appearance at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. While Kerry's statement has been carried by many media sources, as well as him being asked if he plans to run for president in 2020, no one is asking the most important question of all. Why is Kerry still attending important world functions and meeting with world leaders? Yeah, I think we all want to know that. And really, it's laughable to think of him running in, for president in 2020, although he does have a long face, horse-like, but I don't think he should run because he wouldn't win. Since Donald Trump became president in 2016, both John Kerry and Barack Obama have been traveling around the world on our dime, acting as if they're still running the USA. Both attended the climate summit, met with world leaders in their own countries numerous times, and Kerry even met with Iranian officials and other world leaders to try to save the nuclear deal President Trump scrapped. Presumably, the flight Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and other socialist leftists were going to take recently on an extravagant world vacation disguised as a business trip to visit troops in Afghanistan and other stops in Egypt and Europe would have coincided with some of Kerry's itinerary. Well, isn't that coincidental? Really, it is. So Kerry's over there, and here's Nancy Pelosi, and we're pretty sure, I'm convinced that there was an assassination attempt on the president's life, and that it was, a valid one. And I believe that Pelosi was meant to be out of the country as the designated survivor. And it's interesting that some of her itinerary coincides with John Kerry's. I just think that's odd. This means that key people in the former Obama administration are still acting as if Obama were still president by making deals with world leaders. The meetup with Kerry, Obama, and others by the Pelosi entourage tells us that the U.S. is being governed by two factions, the legitimate government of the Trump administration, but also the de facto U.S. government of the Obama reign. Now, I do believe that. And I don't necessarily just think it's the Obama people. I think that it's the deep state as a whole. And we know that there are two factions. It's so evident now. I mean, even people that are fast asleep have got to realize that the country split. There's a coup going on. The fact that we have key players from the Obama government still acting as our legitimate government, and many leftists in power now who obviously recognize Barack Obama as their leader and not the Trump administration, should deeply disturb us. Not only is this an act of defiance against the current administration that was put in power by the citizens of the United States, but it is a blatant act of treason against the people by the former administration and government officials currently in office. And that for sure. I've never seen the likes of this because, he's a duly elected president. The people elected him. Deal with it, people. Like, I've never seen the likes of this. It's I don't know. And part of me wants to wonder, or does wonder, if this is all scripted. At this point, you do have to ask yourself that. There's a lot of stuff that's just so far out there. I find it hard, some of the antics of the Democrats, I just find it hard to believe that it's not being scripted. I don't know. I could be wrong. The U.S. is and has been in a quiet, for the most part, civil war since citizens outrightly rejected New World Order neo-Nazism mantra in electing Donald Trump to not only make America great again, but to actually make America the United States of America again. The organized mobs such as Antifa and Black Lives Matter, financed by George Soros and organized by Obama, whose job it is to put down any semblance of supportive nationalism in the U.S., most of the time violently, shows us we citizens are headed into armed conflict with anti-American factions within our own government. And I think we can all see that very, very plainly. This armed conflict will not bode well for the anti-American factions trying to destroy the U.S., as most law enforcement and all military will side with the U.S. national patriots and their officially sworn in President Donald Trump. And the military does love this president. And why wouldn't they? He's done more for the military than, I don't know. I know definitely more than Obama and more than the past administrations before him, several administrations. So I don't know, I don't know if he's done more than any president, but he's certainly done more than the recent presidents. Okay, well, let's go on and not belabor that too much. And of course, with the announcement that the government was opening, it would make sense that they would they should have held the State of the Union address today, right? Tuesday, the 29th. When it was originally supposed to be held, because the government's open, and that's what Pelosi said, isn't it? Open the government, and then you can have the State of the Union address, and we'll start negotiating the wall. And of course, we know that this is all a bunch of hooey. She doesn't mean any of it. She just wants the government open again. She has no, desire or intent to negotiate anything. I feel like she's giving the middle finger to the president and saying, negotiate this. Honestly, that's how I feel. Now, let's take a look at this, because interestingly enough, she put off the State of the Union address until February 5th, and I think that's interesting. Why is it that can't have it on the 29th? Does she have something planned? Does she have something nefarious planned, like she did before she took her little trip or wanted to take her little trip abroad? I don't know. I just think we need to pray for our president and pray for the safety of those in authority that are the white hats that are working for our interests. We need to be praying for them daily. Now, here it says Trump's State of the Union address is still not happening Tuesday, despite shutdown ending, Pelosi says. Hours after President Trump said he would postpone this year's State of the Union address, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she's glad the issue is off the table and leaders can shift focus back to reopening the government. Okay, that was January 24th, but here, hang on here. Despite President Donald Trump ending the government shutdown, his State of the Union address is still up in the air. Well, it's not now because it's going to be February 5th. It's not happening on 1/29, said Drew Hamill, a spokesman for House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. After a series of bitter letters back and forth, Pelosi postponed Trump's January 29th address due to the longest shutdown in U.S. history, citing, among other things, security concerns, as those tasked with high-profile events were not being paid. But we know that was a lie from her, that security was just fine and it was already all taken care of and all in place and set to go. But they asked her again. In fact, let's listen to her. I know. It's going to be okay. I don't like it any more than you. This is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. Really? Maybe not. Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Morning. Started last night. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. As you know, last night the President accepted the fact that the State of the Union should be at a time, the State of the Union just should be at a time when we can talk about the State of the Union when government is not shut down. I'm glad we could get that off the table because I know it was a source of many questions. Should we rent the equipment for the State of the Union? Should we have our families come in? it is so unimportant in the lives of the American people in terms of especially those who are...
Like she knows what's important in the lives of American people. That's pretty awful to say that the State of the Union is unimportant to the American people. Anyway.
Victims of the shutdown, hostages to the president's applause line in a campaign speech. Thank goodness we put that matter to rest, and then we can get on to the subject at hand. Open up government so that we can negotiate how best to protect our borders. Today, the Senate has an opportunity to pass legislation that is very simple. It's about billions of dollars in disaster assistance and also just keeping government open until February 8th so that we can have a discussion while people are being paid. Contains the same funding proposal they've already supported, and yet now they won't. So there's no excuse for Senate Republicans not to pass it after we open up government.
I mean, how do you work this out if you don't sit down and talk through it?
Well, we have met. We've met every time. The last time we met, it was a photo op for the president to leave the room. But they know full well that we're here in order to have any conversations.
Do you think that would be valuable? I mean, it's been more than a week now since you've spoken face to face.
It's the president of the United States. We meet with him anytime he wants to meet, and I've never discouraged anybody from meeting with the president.
That wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be where they asked her, because somewhere there's a little clip of them asking her, basically, the government's opened up, so now we can have the State of the Union on Tuesday, right? And she says, no. No. So it just makes me wonder what they have planned for February 5th. Don't know. I don't know. Don't trust that woman. All right, let's go back. And this is interesting. New poll. Nancy Pelosi is now the least favorable politician in the country. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Shutdown backfire. Nancy Pelosi is now the least favorable. The Democrats may have won the battle of the shutdown, but it looks like they're losing the war in a big way, according to a new poll. And I don't think most Americans are, well, I don't know, but let me put it this way. I think it's become so obvious that even those that are asleep can see through Nancy Pelosi. You know, CNN can try to spin it any way they want to, but it's becoming so obvious now. Even the people that are asleep are starting to yeah, what? There's something not right here. You know, there's just, that's, so to me, it's backfired in a big way. So we'll see. And here, this from Ava Armstrong. If they can do this to Roger Stone, they can do this to you. Our government is being used as a weapon against us now. This is the very definition of tyranny. And I agree. I was really alarmed the amount of people that they used to come and arrest Roger Stone. It was absolutely ludicrous. And apparently now, from what I read, they also forced his wife out of the house, and she had to stand there in her nightgown and bare feet while all this was going on. I don't think that they showed that on CNN. Thank goodness. I mean, at least that's decent. But it's ridiculous, and it's all optics. It's all optics. And this from Snake Plissken. John Brennan is hoaxmaster. He started this Russia conspiracy in late 2015, which is when he claimed to have gotten intelligence from Estonia that Trump Russians were colluding. Think about it. Late 15, before fusion, before Steele, before Hillary Rodham Clinton, before everything. That's treason. Yeah. Very interesting. And this from Jacob Wall. Pelosi to block Trump's State of the Union address despite government reopening. And we've already been discussing that. And because I'm a little late bringing this to you, we all know that now, but let's go on. Okay, and this by USA Liberty, Hussein Obama quotes, "The sweetest sound I know is the Muslim call to prayer. The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam. Islam has a proud tradition of tolerance. Whatever we once were, we are no longer a Christian nation." Yeah, these are quotes from our former president. It's funny because there's a member in my family, not my immediate family, but my extended family. I'm an only child now, but anyway, this person in my family believes, like, absolutely that Obama is not Islamic, and he is a good Christian man. And it doesn't matter how much evidence you bring, it's still, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. He's not Muslim. Anyway, you can lead someone to knowledge, but you can't make them think. You can't. So anyway, and this from Donald Trump. "After all that I have done for the military, our great veterans, judges, 99, justices, 2, tax and regulation cuts, the economy, energy, trade, and much more, does anybody think I won't build the wall? Done more in first 2 years than any president. Make America great again." And I do believe that he has done more for this country than any president in only 2 years. And it makes me wonder what the heck Obama did for 8 years. Seriously. I don't know how Donald Trump gets everything done that he gets done. Really, I don't. I don't know when he sleeps, but he's obviously got a good team behind him, and he's obviously carrying through on all of his election promises, including the wall. And what he's saying here, after all I've done, why should you really doubt me that I'm not going to build the wall? He's saying, do you think I'm not going to build the wall? I'm going to build the wall. I trust him. I believe he's going to build the wall. All right, and another tweet from Trump. "How does Da Nang Dick Blumenthal serve on the Senate Judiciary Committee when he defrauded the American people about his so-called war hero status in Vietnam, only to later admit, with tears pouring down his face, that he was never in Vietnam? An embarrassment to our country." He and Nathan Phillips, the Native American man, with the Covington school kids, he also claimed that he was a Vietnam vet and was not. So maybe they should get together. They can share their imaginary stories. Might be fun for them both. And let's go to the next thing here. Okay, Dems to strike, so help you God, from oath taken in front of key House committee draft shows. So they want to strike the "so help me God" from the
So let's get some reaction from the Republican side of the aisle with Texas Congressman and a member of the House Freedom Caucus, Louis Gohmert. Congressman, I want to ask you about something that...
Let's go down here. A key committee in the Democrat-controlled House of Representatives is moving to eliminate the God reference from the oath administered to witnesses testifying before the panel as part of new rules package expected to be approved this week, according to a draft obtained exclusively by Fox News. I don't know what to say. The draft shows that the House Committee on Natural Resources would ask witnesses to recite only, "Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" The rules proposal places the words "so help you God" in red brackets, indicating they are slated to be cut. The words "under penalty of law" are in red text, indicating that Democrats propose to add that phrasing to the oath. The draft rules also remove the phrase "his" or "her" throughout the document, changing those two pronouns to "their." The rules additionally modify all references to the committee's chairman to instead refer only to the committee's chair. Other rules changes relate to expanding the committee's authority over natural gas in Alaska and fossil fuel resources. While many federal oaths include the phrase "so help me God," some, most notably the presidential oath of office, do not. The full committee is set to vote on the new language this week, and the rules would take effect immediately if adopted. Other committees were still in the process of finalizing their rules on Monday. Interesting. House Republican Conference Chair Liz Cheney. They really have become the party of Karl Marx. Republican leaders reacted with dismay to the proposed change and suggested it was a sign of the Democratic Party's leftward shift. Yeah, definitely. You know, this is what I don't understand. It seems to me, okay, absolutely there are atheists. They don't believe in God. But there are a segment of so-called atheists that are so upset about other people believing in God. What is the difference? Okay, if I don't believe in Santa Claus, but I don't get mad at people that do. I don't believe in the Easter Bunny, but if you do, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to be mad at you about it. I don't get it. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? And why? Why do you think it's a bad idea? I mean, we see what happened when we took prayer out of schools, and we took God out of schools. Don't know. I don't agree with it, but, and I think you probably know why. But anyway, let's go on here. Now, this is interesting, a bit controversial, okay? I can't verify this, but I've heard this from several sources now, so I'm just going to bring it to you and let you guys decide. All right. I had to drink some water to see if my face was still working. It is. Okay. The truth about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. I am someone close to Ruth and have decided to come here to tell you the truth about what is happening, because I fear there is going to be massive unrest once the whole nation finds out what has been hidden from them. You can call me Lindsay B. For future reference, not my real name, obviously. Ruth is not dead, like others have suggested. She is in a medically induced coma in an undisclosed location. Ruth is deathly ill with pneumonia and has multiple infections related to her recent lung cancer surgery and the accident that fractured her ribs. Big players on the Democratic side of things are doing everything they can to cover this up and keep Ruth out of the spotlight and alive through life support if necessary. They do not want, under any circumstances, Trump picking another justice to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States. This would be devastating to their long-term plans, or so I have been told. They plan on continuing this charade until the 2020 election and will casually announce she has passed away after a new Democrat president gets into office. If Trump remains in office and wins re-election, I'm not sure what they will do. The photo attached shows nurses moving Ruth over on her side so she does not get bed sores. It's the best I can do at the moment. Now, this was posted on the 8chan board by an anon. I don't know the veracity of this. I just know it coincides, or it's in agreement with other sources that I have, or that have told me. Sorry, I'm just like all kind of like bumbly tonight. Now this picture, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't be able, well, actually, now that I do look at it, this is her face, Ruth Ginsburg, and this is the nurse, and there are two nurses, and she does, where her eyes are closed. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? To me, of all the suggestions, I think this is the most viable. I think they probably do have her in a medically induced coma because they don't want her to die. They're probably doing everything in their power to keep her alive, especially, I mean, probably going to, extraordinary lengths to keep her alive. Who knows what's going to happen? And here we go. We're on to the next. No, really, we are. Brennan goes berserk. John Brennan explodes on unethical, dishonest Trump. Wow. Hypocrite much? Former CIA director and anti-Trump crusader John Brennan slammed the commander-in-chief on social media over the weekend, launching a bizarre rant that labeled the president an unethical and dishonest leader. Your cabal of unprincipled, unethical, dishonest, and sycophantic cronies is being methodically brought to justice. We all know where this trail leads. If your utter incompetence is not enough to run you out of office, your increasingly obvious political corruption surely will, tweeted Brennan. Wow. Things that make you go, Obama CIA director launches another unhinged attack on real Donald Trump. Any doubt how illegal spying, unmasking, etc. targeting Donald Trump happened? And that was Tom Fitton replying to John Brennan. Unbelievable. Anyway, it amazes me, like the amount of hypocrisy of the left absolutely leaves me gobsmacked. And it shouldn't, but it does. Every day, it's like it gets ramped up. I don't know. All right. And this, I agree with. I don't care what anybody says. I agree with this. I think this is a great idea. Indiana bill requires students to pass citizenship exam to graduate high school. High school students in Indiana may soon be required to pass the exam traditionally administered to immigrants seeking U.S. citizenship if they hope to receive a diploma. A bill that would make the U.S. citizenship test a graduation requirement in Indiana has passed the state Senate, paving the way for a potential major change to Indiana's graduation requirements come 2020. According to The Hill, Senate Bill 132 passed the Indiana State Senate 31-17 after being introduced earlier this month by State Sens Dennis Cruz and Jeff Ratz. The bill seeks to make passage of the U.S. citizenship test a mandatory requirement for high school graduation at all of the state's public schools beginning in 2020. We have many young people in our country and in the state of Indiana who do not know a lot of very simple information on our government and on our country, and some of our history, Cruz recently told the Times of Northwest Indiana. And, that's true. It's true. We have a Canadian, oh gosh, what is his name? Because he's hysterical. And I can't remember his name, but he used to go, his big shtick here was going and interviewing Americans. And he would ask them really simple questions like, what is the name of the vice president? And they wouldn't be able to answer it. And, of course, Canadians would laugh and think it was funny, but it's not funny. It's awful. And really, I think that's a good idea. I think it's a good idea for both countries, to tell you the truth. Because I bet you, they say, I have read that most Americans would fail the citizenship test with the questions that are on it. I don't know, but that's what I've heard. And I've read a lot about it because, my plan was to become a naturalized citizen so that I would become a full citizen of the United States. And you do have to take that test. Anyway, let's move on. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm interested. Is there a reason why you would think that are you for or against, and why? Basically, I am for it, but there may be very valid reasons to be against it. So make sure you write it in the comments below, because a lot of us comb through those comments and find all sorts of valuable information. And Chuck Woolery, Nancy Pelosi, the most popular woman in politics and a genius negotiator, has a 27% approval rating and a 45% disapprove. Don't tell the media or anyone in Washington. Yeah, right. The most popular woman in politics. Well, if you listen to the mainstream media, that's what they would have us believe. And she's a genius negotiator. She didn't negotiate. Now, this from Lady Deplorable. How about this for hypocrisy? Wow, is the sick irony lost on Dems? Hillary Clinton celebrates abortion the same day Chelsea Clinton announces she's pregnant. You can't make that stuff up. Really. Can't make it up. You could try. But real life is proving the stuff of fiction, really. The same day that Hillary announced, or that Chelsea Clinton announced that she's pregnant, God have mercy on that child, Hillary's celebrating abortion. There's something just wrong about that. Okay, let's move on. And what is this? Oh, this is really sick and disturbing. They're calling it sacred work. The God they worship sure isn't our Heavenly Father. Religious leaders bless opening of new Planned Parenthood abortion clinic, call it sacred work. That, according to U.S. politics, religious leaders blessing the opening of a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic. Okay. If those two things, religion and abortion, aren't diametrically opposed, I don't know what is. Anyway, more hypocrisy. Okay, and Donald Trump in the beautiful I love this. He's such a good troller. In the beautiful Midwest, wind chill temperatures are reaching minus 60 degrees, the coldest ever recorded. In coming days, expected to get even colder. People can't last outside for even minutes. What the hell is going on with global warming? Please come back. We need you. Yeah. Alrighty. Now, let me see. I can't remember what this is. The border wall equals national security. 5.7 billion requested. 18.9 billion spent January 2019 on illegals. 603 million spent Friday on illegals. 300 people per week die from heroin overdoses. 90% from southern border. Schumer and Pelosi, of course, they want no border walls and no voter ID laws, and we know why. And it's pointing out that the most illegals live in sanctuary cities, blue match sanctuary cities, and let me see here. I guess, and they're showing that indeed the illegal immigrants do support the Democrats. So, which we knew. We know that. 3,141 counties in United States, 3,084 counties won by Trump, 57 counties won by Hillary, 25.7 million illegals in U.S., all the blue counties, states, majority of blue counties are located on border states. Hillary would not have won 57 counties without illegal votes. We know that. We know that. I mean, they can play however they want to play, but we know the deal. We know it. And I think most of America knows it by now. All right. Okay, I'll skip those two for now. This. Okay, yeah. This is kind of a strange. Okay, I don't know if you guys follow on Twitter the real raw non. Many believe that it's JFK Jr. I don't know. I am seeing more and more and more evidence that makes me question whether or not he is alive. I do think that there is verifiable evidence that he is or could be. However, that's irrelevant. This person, the real Ranon, writes some very cryptic and very interesting stuff. And this person was replying to him because he wrote a tweet about this: construction of roads and fences and installation of lighting to block drug smuggling corridors across international boundaries of the United States. I think the entrance for smuggling will move, hence fencing would move enclosing southern border. Now, I know this doesn't make sense yet, but let me see here. Okay, under U.S. Code, Title 10, Armed Forces, Subtitle A, General Military Law, Part 1, Organization and General whatever, Chapter 15, Military Support for Civilian Law Enforcement Agencies. Military Support for Civilian Law Enforcement Agencies. Section 284, Support for Counter-Drug Activities and Activities to Counter Transnational Organized Crime. And then you look down here. 7, Construction of roads and fences and installation of lighting to block drug smuggling corridors across international boundaries of the United States. So that's interesting that, this is right in there in the U.S. Code. Armed forces, they can assist civilian law enforcement agencies. So, yeah, I think there's a lot more happening behind the scenes than we know. And I think that there's a lot, because we don't know, we're anxious. Like, is it going to get built? Is it not going to get built? It is going to be built. It's going to be built. And I don't think that we have to question it. All right. Let's take a look at those. No, really, let's. Texas Democrats seek to ban Christianity using so-called anti-discrimination laws. If the Texas legislature passed these bills, Christians near and far should be concerned about how their freedoms will be curtailed in the coming years. This is pretty critical. The 86th Texas legislative session got underway a few weeks ago, and liberals are already going on the offensive in the traditional conservative stronghold. Left-leaning legislators have formed Texas' first LGBTQ caucus while promising a transformative agenda. This includes a number of proposed sex orientation and gender identity laws that would attack people of faith so aggressively that they can justifiably be described as ban the Bible bills. Ban the Bible doesn't have to mean confiscating physical Bibles. LGBT activists aren't that obvious with their intentions yet, but it does mean something even worse, stripping Texans of their right to practice biblical teachings in their day-to-day lives. These bills would create new government power and protections that ban the free expression of biblically grounded beliefs, especially teachings on marriage and sexuality. Numerous bills seek to force people of faith to conform to others' personal and political activities while setting aside their own sincerely held religious beliefs. Those who do not comply will face fines, possible jail time, or other criminal charges. bigoted bills described as anti-discrimination. These proposals try to fly under the radar as anti-discrimination bills because who doesn't want to stop bullying? But such so-called anti-discrimination laws turn law-abiding Christians into criminals, and Texans can't stand by and watch it happen. HB 244, for example, creates a $100 per day fine for any violation. HB 188 includes a Class A misdemeanor, the same punishment for a DUI or domestic violence, which could lead to a year in jail if the anti-discrimination policy is not followed. These policies are similar to the ones used against Christian cake baker Jack Phillips in Colorado. Jack, of course, famously won at the U.S. Supreme Court, but that wasn't enough to stop liberals from trying again. Other bills would force religious homeless shelters, colleges, and universities to allow biological men to sleep next to women. This includes in shelters for abused women and small dormitories. Think that's a little far-fetched? It's already happening in Alaska. And if that's not bad enough, these same bills would be used to force private business owners to allow men into the most intimate spaces designed for women. This includes places like showers and locker rooms at the gym or any public bathroom. Again, if you think this is far-fetched, it has already happened in Seattle, and a Planet Fitness in Michigan revoked membership to a woman who merely complained there was a man in the woman's locker room. It's one thing if a corporation wants to voluntarily create SOGI policies for their business. After all, corporate activism seems to be at all the rage these days. Target famously changed its bathroom policy to allow guests to use the bathroom of their gender identity. They also saw reported incidents of sexual offenses spike in Texas and across the nation right after that policy change. The bills in front of the Texas legislature, however, would force all businesses to adopt these radical LGBT policies, even those owned by people who oppose them for religious or safety reasons. But it doesn't end there. A third bill, HB 517, would allow the government to punish counselors, marriage and family therapists, psychologists, and any other mental health providers licensed by the state who help people from a Christian perspective. If these providers in any way discourage homosexual behavior or the desire for a gender transition, including the request of the client, they would face disciplinary action by a regulatory committee. It is truly shocking to see how far the left is willing to go on this issue. This bill frames the issues as unprofessional conduct by mental health providers who attempt to change the sexual orientation of a child. Talking to people about the Bible, about what the Bible says, and their unwanted feelings now constitutes unprofessional conduct. There are counselors who do counsel and are state licensed that, do so from a biblical perspective and make that known. And I don't see what the issue, if you're going to a counselor and, you're a Christian and they're going to counsel from a Christian perspective, what is the harm in that? Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of this, but I wanted to bring that to your attention because it needs attention. So this is happening in Texas. Now, let's go back here. And I may have to split this into two because it's getting towards an hour that I've been talking, and I know that it's too long for many of you. So let me just touch on this, and then I'm going to wrap up this video and hopefully do another. This from GOP. New survey finds Democratic swing districts support President Trump's immigration offer. A majority of voters, 54 to 43, say they support Trump's policies. By a 35% margin, voters supported the president's position on border security. So that's interesting. Shock poll, Democratic swing districts back wall. So I think there's a lot more people backing the wall than the Democrats would like to admit, obviously. And I certainly believe that the majority of Americans want a wall, including a lot of people that have immigrated legally. So there you are. And there you go. And that is it for tonight. I feel like I've kind of bumbled through tonight, but you know, you can't be on your game every day. So that's it. I hope you have a good evening. Stay safe, stay well, and I will talk to you soon. At least I hope I will. And also, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be subscribed to this channel, make sure you stay subscribed, because they do drop subscribers, and many people have explained that that has happened to them. They've let me know that, so that's how I know it's happening. So anyway, hit the like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Good night.